He wants to sever his relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's something which is Yechidah Leyachdo, which that's connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which can never be affected. Even the Iyam from Kodesh Leilus looked out the Rebbe, that's only Iyam from Kitzeni, is not the Premius. The Premius of a Yid like Alamo Gantz. It was one Sunday that an American woman, a very rich woman, came over to the Rebbe after she was waiting 4 or 5 hours online. And she asked the Rebbe, may I ask you a question? The Rebbe says, be my guest. She says, I am a young woman, only 40 years old. After standing so long, I feel so tired. You are much older than me, and I don't see any fatigue on your face. To me, it seems that you just started handing out the dollars. How is that possible that a man in your age, standing for 4 or 5 hours, you should still have that strength like it was just in the beginning? And the Rebbe asks us, tell me, if somebody in a hot day will give you a bundle of diamonds and tell you stand outside under the sun, and every diamond you're going to count will belong to you, are you going to say that it's too hot? No. You'll take the bundle, you'll count each diamond, and you put it away. When you're finished, the gentleman says, are you ready to count another bundle? Of course. Why? Because everyone feels the importance of a diamond. And the Rebbe tells to her, you see, we want like this. Every single person that is standing here, I look upon them as a diamond. And when you look on diamonds, you're counting diamonds, you don't get tired. Chazal say that the Rebbe doesn't say some words. Every word that the Rebbe says has meaning to it. Why did the Rebbe say that he looks upon every individual as a diamond? Well, what is the characteristic of a diamond? The characteristic of a diamond, that even when the diamond is buried in the ground for years, hundreds of years, it's covered up with mud, faced with all the schmutz. Somebody comes and digs it out, cleans it, gives it to a diamond cutter. And what does he find? The most beautiful diamond with the blue and red beautiful colors of the diamond. What does that tell us? The diamond does not get affected by the fact that it was covered up by something negative. Because the very characteristic of a diamond is something which remains with him. So the Rebbe, when I look at a Yid, I see his neshama. His neshama to me is like a diamond which can never be affected. Regardless of what his conduct may not be till now, he still remains loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He still remains devoted to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though he doesn't realize it. And his neshama is still connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is our mission? Us, we say we who appreciate what it means to have a neshama. We who appreciate what it means to be connected. Our position is, our work is, our effort has to be to penetrate and to put away all the things that cover up on the neshama, which doesn't allow the light of the neshama, the chayas of the neshama, to take effect in the outer part of the yud of his body. Penetrate deeply into this yid, and what will you find over there? A beautiful diamond, a neshama that's completely whole, is completely kodesh, is completely connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is our work. And the Rebbe said that each time that we are makar noch hayitzum medicine, we reveal within him that he should be proud of being Jewish. He should be proud of fulfilling the Torah mitzvahs. Each of these activities brings closer to Mashiach. In Chodesh Kislev Tovshin Nun Beis, a few months before the first stroke, the Rebbe complained that when he opens up the Gemara, he doesn't see the Rabbeinu Hananel, he doesn't see that Goy Sabach clearly. So I asked him whether the Rebbe would agree that an ophthalmologist should come and check the Rebbe. He said, yeah. So I called in a Fru Megiddo, a big ophthalmologist from Fifth Avenue, that used to come to the Rebbe for dollars. He came, he brought all his mobile instruments that he could carry. After he examined the Rebbe, he said that there's one test that he has to make, With that machine is fastened to the floor in the office, and he can't bring it there. If the Rebbe would agree to come to his office after office hours, that means when all the nurses will leave, and he personally will take care of everything what the nurse will have to do, and from there the Rebbe be sure that no woman will be there. So the Rebbe agreed. He set a date and come to him 9:30 at night, and he applies the dilation drops. For dilation to effect, to open up the eye, takes about 10 minutes. So while he was standing and waiting, he asked the Rebbe, do I have permission to ask the Rebbe a question? The Rebbe said, of course. And he tells the Rebbe that in addition to my position, I'm an ophthalmologist, I'm also a president of a Jewish organization. And as a result of that, I travel to many countries and I see many cities. And I have to tell the Rebbe that I could tell you of my own eyewitness the tremendous accomplishments what the Rebbe is contributing to the Jewish nation. Wherever we come, I see a Beis Chabad, I see a yeshiva, I see a kashrus, I see a mikveh, all the good stuff and everything. And the Rebbe says, so what is your question? And he says, Rebbe, if the Rebbe accomplished so much, what is Mashiach waiting for? How come Mashiach didn't come yet? And the Rebbe picks up his head and gives him a big smile, and he says, Doctor, you know something? I have that same question. I really don't understand why Mashiach is not here. And I was hoping that the Rebbe will stop over there, when the Eidish Herr für the Tzaddik Hador sagt, versteht nicht, why Mashiach is not here, but Mashiach left coming. But a second later, the Rebbe opened up and he said, however, no. What did the Rebbe say? The Rebbe told him as follows, being that today we did not see Mashiach with our physical eyes, that means to say that there is still something that we have to do to fill the cup. The cup is a cup where every of our good actions, every good activity is put into that cup. Mashiach is waiting, the Rebbe said, that cup should be full so much, it's going to overflow with the activities. And the Rebbe says to the doctor, at every opportunity I have, this will come out word by word, he said it in English, every opportunity I have, I urge my chassidim, and then I tell them. And by the way, this is the first time that we heard that the Rebbe should give an acknowledgement that chassidim are doing something good. And the Rebbe says, I tell my chassidim, I appreciate all the good work that you're doing till now. But the very fact that Mashiach is not here yet is a symbol, is a sign that the cup is not overflowing. And the Rebbe tells him every good opportunity is going to make closer, to make less the chasm that's wide, and it's become close and close. Every activity that we do is put into this cup, and when it's going to overflow, that's when Mashiach is going to come. The Rebbe says that every person that we are mekadev, that fills the cup a little bit more. The Rebbe said that a person should never satisfy himself with what he had accomplished till now. And let me tell you a story about that also, with permission to take a little bit too much time. I hope nobody's going to mind. The Gewinn Ayid Rabbi Yechon and Gordon Olav Sholem, I'm sure there's some people here that remember, heard about him, met and knew him, knew his family. He was the Gabbai of the Shul of 770, but he was also the secretary treasurer of a free loan association. And you know that in every city had always, in all the generations, a free loan association that people should be able to borrow money without interest. And in Crown Heights we have a few of them. One of them was called Shem Shabbos, which was actually the first Gemilas Chesed in Crown Heights. And in the time of the Rebbe Rayatz agreed to be the president. As we were reading, we read yesterday in Parshas Eila Mishpotim, in Kesef Talves Ami, and that's, and so only Imov, that is the mitzvah from Gemilas Chasodim. So Rabbi Yechon, once a year, he would make a report of what was accomplished with this free loan association that he was the head of, and he would present it to the previous Rebbe. What does his report consist of? How many people borrowed? What sums did they borrow? How many of the borrowers were able to pay back? And how many people invested in the Gemilas Chesed to enable the Gemilas Chesed to be able to function and give out the loans? And every year, he says, when he presented the Frierdiker Rebbe with this, he received a big Yashikoyach and a big thank you. After Yud Shvat Kodesh Yud, the committee of this organization asked the Rebbe, Nasi Reinu, that he should assume the presidency, and the Rebbe agreed. When it came Passus Mishpat in Tovshin Yud Aleph, the first year when the Rebbe became president, Rabbi Yochanan said he prepared the report for this year. And when he compared it to previous years, he was amazed. What was he amazed about? He was able to give more people loans. He was able to give larger sums. And what's most important, more of the borrowers were able to pay back. And in addition to that, more people invested in it, maybe given the opportunity to help more people. So he tells us that if on a smaller edition, so to say, of a report, he got such a big smile from the Rebbe Rayatz, he couldn't imagine how big the Yashikoyach, the thank you of the Rebbe is going to be. He came into the Rebbe, and he hands the Rebbe the report, and he said the Rebbe went through every line. After the Rebbe came to the end, when he saw how great this report was, the Rebbe turns to Rabbi Yochanan, and what were the words that the Rebbe says? Rabbi Yochanan, das ist alles, was ihr gekannt habt. This is all that you could have accomplished. And Rabbi Yochanan says, here I thought I'm going to get a big Yashikoyach, and here I get hit over the head. If I had a pit, I would throw myself into the pit. The Rebbe realized his dilemma, and the Rebbe tells him, take a lesson from me, a lesson from you. He didn't understand what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said, when we lay every night before we go to rest, we have to say Krishna Shalom Mita. One of the purposes of Krishna Shalom Mita that a person should take an account of Cheshbon HaNefesh of how the day was spent. What does that mean? What should have been accomplished? And how much did he accomplish? And when he sees that it's not the way it should be, he should take upon himself, Achos take as your resolution, a mode with the same best, and tomorrow will be better. Said the Rebbe to Rabbi Yochanan, that every night, when I say Krishna Shalom Mita, I say to myself, and he called himself by his second, the Jewish name, Das Alsos the Gekent Donheit. This is also what you could have accomplished. Now let me take a moment to describe to you a day of the Rebbe which we were able to see. The Rebbe literally, without exaggeration, worked 18 hours a day. And we could be a witness to test to that because we had to be there also, so to say. What did the Rebbe do in those 18 hours? He had his shiurim and learning. He had his davening. He had his time when he read letters. He had his time when he answered letters. When the Rebbe would go home, not at night like Yechidus, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, the Rebbe would take with him a big bag in which those letters that he did not have the opportunity to answer during the day, he would take them home. And when the Rebbe came back the next morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, we already had a batch like this of answers which the Rebbe worked on during the night. The Rebbe said that he's available 24/7/30, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 30 days a month. 24 hours a day, the Rebbe said that when he's home and an emergency arises, you have permission, he told the office, to call the house. The Rebbe will pick up the phone. Either I will take it from her, or you will relay to the Rebbetzin, and she will relay it to me. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I have to tell you that not once was it necessary to call the Rebbe during those hours, although the Rebbe first came in 2 o'clock in the morning. But 4 o'clock in the morning, we get a telephone from Eretz Yisrael that there's a woman who's already in labor 36 hours and the doctors don't know what to do. And the husband begs her, please, get a bracha from the Rebbe, and we call the Rebbe gets like a bracha, and a half hour later he calls Baruch Hashem a Mazel Tov. 7 days a week, the Rebbe said on Shabbos when I'm in my office, if an emergency arises, you have permission to come in. I once mentioned this by a meeting that I had with 50 Balabatim CEOs, Rabbi, I thought the Rebbe was a Shabbos observer. What do you mean his office opens 7 days a week on Shabbos, on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? I said, first let me describe to you what kind of office the Rebbe had. And after you had that, heard that, ask me, tell me if your question is still valid. I said the Rebbe did not have an office of stocks, a stockbroker. He was not a real estate interpreter. He was not a person who worked on construction. He did not sell wholesale, retail. What was the Rebbe's office? The Rebbe's office was an office from which light came out to the whole world. Guidance came out to the whole world. Blessings came out to the whole world. The Rebbe prayed for everybody. That was his office. Such an office could be open on Shabbos, can be open on Rosh Hashanah, and can be open on Yom Kippur. Now let me ask you a question. A person works 18 hours a day. He comes to Krifish Alamita and he says, I say to myself, dos altos to Ufteton, what more does he want? Not even to sleep the 3 hours that he slept. He sleep only 2 hours. And the Rebbe tells Rabbi Yechanan, ich will sagen what my philosophy is, what my philosophy is. My philosophy, the Rebbe says, that the past has to strengthen the present, and the present has to encourage the future. What means to encourage the future? That the future has to do more than the past and the present. And the Rebbe tells him, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you an additional day, it's for a purpose to do more than was done till now. Because if you satisfy yourself with what you did till now, and you become stagnant, you say, I need a rest now. I did so much. Why did the Rebbe, why did the Eibishter give you another day? The very fact that the Rebbe said that the Eibishter gives a person another day, the reason for that is that a person has to add somewhat more to what was done till now. There was once a CNN reporter that wanted to observe, and what does it mean, when he heard that the Rebbe stands for hours and hands out dollars. He came and he asked permission to stand there. We gave him permission. After 4 hours, he asks me, does he also have permission to get $1 from the Rebbe? I said, of course. I introduced him to the Rebbe. I told him that this is a reporter from CNN. The Rebbe gives him $1, then he gives him a second $2. He said, Rabbi Tzlocha, you should succeed in your work. Then this fellow says, Rabbi, do you have a message that I could relay through CNN in the entire world, and I'm ready to do it? And the Rebbe said, yes. The Rebbe says, tell the world that Mashiach is closer than he ever was. Mashiach is on his way, and he's ready to reveal himself. He's waiting for us to complete our mission. What is that the Rebbe tells him? Tell the people that a person has to add every single day in more goodness and kindness. A person should not satisfy himself with the goodness and kindness that he did till today. If Almighty grants him another day, that means that he has to add something more to what he did till now. This is what the Rebbe is teaching us. And this is what the Rebbe wants us to understand and appreciate. The inyan of learning the Rambam, that is another, I would say, angle, another aspect, another ingredient with which the Rebbe wants to bring Mashiach. Exactly, we don't know the real reason, but when the Rebbe said that the reason, if it was mitzvah only to learn once, to learn Torah in your lifetime, to do game loads, enough. When the Rebbe said the inyan to make after Sedition Yidden, we need actors every moment of the day. And the Achdus that we had till now is not suffice because it's not Nishgebrach Mashiach. We have to realize that one of the purposes what the Rebbe didn't reveal to us, how much we have to work with ourselves that there should be an emissary Achdus, emissary unity between one and another. Not only the Inyan the Rebbe said from V'haftal Re'acha from Abbas Yisrael is very important. When the Rebbe Kiva says that's one of the main Yonim from Torah. But what is Achdus Yisrael? Achdus Yisrael that Tzemach Tzedek told Chassidim when the Tzemach Tzedek was called to Petersburg, and he took along with his Tachlichim, means to say that he was afraid that he would not come back alive. And Chassidim asked him, what's going to be with us? He told them, first of all, that I'm leaving you my children. And then he said, the Achdus of Chassidim will bring about Mashiach. So the Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, taught us and teaches us what Achdus Rishon Yidden could accomplish. So b'shas we are standing now in a moment of Siyum HoRambam. And by the way, the Rebbe didn't like the word Siyum, although he called it Siyum HoRambam. The Rebbe said Siyum is a stepping stone to go further and further. A Siyum is a sach to give a person an encouragement that from now he should be able to accomplish more both quantitatively and qualitatively. When a Rebbe used to send a letter to a graduation class, he said, it's not a graduation that you stop studying. This, what you studied till now, is going to help you. That when you go to the higher class, you'll be able to accomplish more. The Siyum HoRambam from last year is to encourage us now starting the new cycle. The new Inyan, especially Lev, the Inyan from Harz, the Inyan from Midas Levis, the Inyan from Lev Yisrael. That has to encourage us that we have to learn the Rambam more diligently, more quantitatively, more qualitatively. That this what we learned the Rambam till now should help us, that we should understand that the same halacha that we learned till now, we about that this is Ein Sof. There's no limit to how much we can understand what the Rambam about the Sachedek from Torah. And Torah has no end, so this should be one of the resolutions that we take upon ourselves. Hanakuda that we're trying to bring out from all that what we mentioned is that we have to first know how Emunah Pshuta. That b'shas meher we hear something from the Rebbe, it has to be with Emunah Pshuta, that we have to know that this is coming from above, and this is the Inyan from Tzadikim Daily Borim, Rashi Zot, Tachreim Shovim, how we have to approach, just like we approach a mitzvah d'oraisa, that's how we have to approach our Emunah in the Eibishter. And just like the Rebbe says that we can't understand even the Mishpatim, we shouldn't even try to understand why. What the Rebbe is telling us, our word is that we learned in Pashas Yisrael, Hekdimu Nasu Lanish and Pashas Mishpatim. And the Rebbe asked a very portion to Shaila, Mishpatim with Seichel Havonim. Hekdimu Nasu Lanishna is Hepech Havonim. The third deposit from Yidum and Ashkel Shalom Hashem Nasa Benishma should have been said in Pashas Yisrael, Al Tzachon Tzutei. Why did the Eibishter put in the Pashas Mishpatim? This is the Nekudas of the Rebbe. The Mishpatim should also be only because Hekdim and Nasu Lanishna. Only Mitzvah Kabbalah Sale. Mitach nicht verstehen, and we can nicht